first of all, Rosh Chodesh Tov to everyone. Today is Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and Chazal tell us, and the Kabbalistic Rebbe put a lot of emphasis about Rosh Chodesh Kislev, that Rosh Chodesh Kislev is, we can do a tikkun that we can't do on Yom Kippur. That means people that didn't done atonement there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us another chance in Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh Kislev. So, בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. First of all, we have to understand that Bnei Israel, when they left, you want to say something? Bnei Israel, when they left Egypt, they received the Torah on the 24th of Nisan. That means, when did they left Egypt? 15, נכון? When it was Pesach, נכון? Pesach. That means, in Pesach they left Egypt, because they done Korban Pesach, נכון? יופי. When did they receive the Torah? On the 24th of Nisan.
No, but wasn't the Shabbat?
Not the Torah, sorry, the Shabbat. Sorry, my mistake. When did they receive Shabbat? On the 24th of Nisan. I said Torah, I'm sorry, because they received it on the 6th of Sivan. What it means Shabbat? When Bnei Israel left Egypt, they start marching into the wilderness. On the 24th of Nisan, they arrive in a place that's called Mara. And I explain why is it called Mara. There HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hazal tell us in the Gemara of Masechet Sanhedrin, in page Nun Vav Amud Bet 56 folio 2, Sham Sam Laim Chok Mishpat. That's what it says in Parashat Beshalach, in Sefer Shmot, Parashat Beshalach, in chapter 15, verse 26. Hazal tell us, the Torah tell us, Sham Sam Laim Chok Mishpat. That means there they receive the law and orders. Okay? Has Rashi HaKadosh say on the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin in page 56 folio 2, Nun Vav Amud Bet. That means there they receive the law of Shabbat. So if anyone will ask you when did we receive the first law of Shabbat, remember the 24th of Nisan, when they arrive in a place that's called Mara. Why they call that place Mara? And not for nothing HaKadosh Baruch Hu given the Torah in Mara. What's the connection? What's happened in Mara? First we have to understand. When Bnei Israel arrived to a place that's called Mara in a wilderness, they was thirsty. And the water that they found was so bitter that they couldn't drink, and they complained. And that's why they call it Mara, bitter. Milshon bitter, Milshon mar. What's happened there? They complained to Moshe Rabbeinu, נכון? Moshe Rabbeinu, what has he done? He took a stick and he added up more water into that water. What does it mean? That he added up more better water. So you can say, lichora, allegedly, maybe the water should be worse, נכון? Because if you add a more better to a better, it will become more better. It couldn't be. No, we see that the miracle happened and HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed and the water becomes sweet and they can drink from it. Okay. What does it come to teach us? It's come to teach us something very important, Rabotai. That our Torah, it's not speaking about sense. That means that if you want to take sense, you're not going to find it so simply in the Torah. And the same with Shabbat. Shabbat, lichora, a person will say, you know what, I'm not working on Shabbat. Shabbat is the most busiest day. נכון? If you go to the shopping center, what's the most busiest day? Shabbat. נכון? Now I need to close my business. Yes, you need to close your business. But listen, it doesn't make sense. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. Why? Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu given the Shabbat to Bnei Israel, where's he given it? In a place that doesn't make sense. What wasn't making sense? That you add up more better water to the better water. So it should be better. It shouldn't be sweet. You agree with me? So in that case, the same happened what? In Shabbat. Why?
Now, Brian was asking about the wood that he ate.
Yeah, he put a stick with the wood. Because that wood that he told them We call it the water with the stick that he ate up. Okay, so now become the question, how does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. Also Shabbat doesn't make sense. Because lichora, in essence, if you look at it, you're working on Shabbat, you should be very, very busy. You should make a lot of money. Because when the shopping center is busy, that's when people do their shopping. נכון? So it's come to tell you, dafka on Shabbat you don't work. Why? Because Shabbat, מקור הברכה. You remember, we say it in Lecha Dodi. Who wrote Lecha Dodi? Rabbi Shlomo HaLevi El-Kabetz. And he said there, what does he say there? Ki hi mekor habracha. And Hazal explained that the source of the prosperity that we have, it's on Shabbat. That means, although that you think that you're making money on Shabbat, there's no brocha with it. Come the Torah and tell us the same like making the water sweet didn't make sense. Shabbat doesn't make sense when you don't work. To you. But Shabbat is different. It's above nature. Okay? Now we understand when we receive the Torah, where we receive the Torah, and why dafka in Mara. Because Shabbat, lichora doesn't make sense. Okay. Now let's continue to understand what is Shabbat. So we say Shabbat is above nature, nachon? Because it's the source of prosperity. Let's move on. We know that the Torah tells us in Sefer Shmot, in Parashat Ki Tisa, in chapter 31, verse 17, the Torah tells us there, Beni uben bnei Israel ot hi la'olam. That means that the Shabbos is a covenant between me and the children of Israel. Between me, say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the children of Israel. What does it mean? That from here you learn, Hazal teach us halacha. Goy sheshamar Shabbat, hayav mitah. That means a Gentile that keeps Shabbat is obligated for a punishment of death. You understand what I'm saying? So from here you learn why a Gentile not allowed to keep Shabbat. Now you say, why? Nachon? You're asking why? Very good. Lama. Oh, Menachem, you're already speaking fluently Hebrew. So when you done your conversion, heftiba, until you convert, you remember you used to have to break Shabbat to light a cat, to light a match or anything until, nachon? You have to, nachon, Menachem? Why? Because that's the halacha. Now you understand where does it come from. Later on we'll speak. If I start to explain why, it's going to take. Now, we know that every country that have law and order, that country that have constitution, that things work. If a person done something wrong, for example, he betrayed the country, or he betrayed the army, or let's don't go so hectically. He worked for a company and he betrayed his company. He given the secret of his company to another company. We all know that the punishment going to be very harsh. You agree with me? So that's going to lead us to a different situation. Hazal tell us, and the Torah tell us, that when a person doesn't keep Shabbat, a Jewish person I'm talking, what's the punishment? Mot yumat. Nachon? The sentence is this. But it's not so simple. You have to go to the Beit Din, you have to have Edim, at least two, that saw him and warned them, listen, you mustn't do Hilul Shabbat, don't desecrate the Shabbat, only if there is all of those criteria, then it's going to go to the Beit Din, and then the Beit Din will decide. That was in a time that Beit HaMikdash was existed, the time that the Sanhedrin was exist. Today, we don't have it. So immediately, a person going to jump and say, listen, I don't understand. Something doesn't make sense here. Why, when it's come to the law of the Torah, if a person steals, and he been caught, and when he been found guilty, what is the punishment? You have to pay double. Nachon? But the person that breaks Shabbat, what has he done? He just put the switch on. And he been found guilty, the punishment is this. Isn't it too harsh? Nachon? You agree with me? No. Why? Because if a person betrayed his company, if a person betrayed his army, if a person betrayed his nation and he given secret of the government to another government, the punishment is very harsh. Why? Because he have a covenant with them. The same with us in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us that Shabbat is a covenant between you and me. You're the only nation that can keep Shabbat. No other nation allowed. So now we can understand why the punishment for a person that breaks Shabbat is so harsh. You understand how we link it together? Any question before I continue? No. So let's continue.
But the reality is,
Yes.
it's never been evoked, has it?
Sorry.
Theoretically, the punishment is death,
Yes.
but in reality, it's never happened.
Okay. Very good. You understand what he said? But we have, I'm sorry to say that to you, but we know and about the story that a person that breaks Shabbat and they took him to Moshe Rabbeinu and he been punished. Who's that? HaMekoshesh. You remember we spoke about it? The person that collected stick on Shabbat. You remember? And they said that was, who was he? Tzlofhad. You remember Tzlofhad? That we explained that the daughter came to Moshe and they said, listen, our father didn't have boys and we want a heritage in Israel. We want land. We want piece of land. Anyway, that's a different story. But I need to agree with you. Because that he done it on purpose. Chazal say. Chazal in the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin explained that he done it on purpose. Why? To teach everyone else of the Jewish people, look what's the punishment if you break Shabbat. They're going to kill you. So he done it l'shem shamai. Okay. But we see that it's not so simple. That there is not many cases that people that break Shabbat have been punished and been put to death. But today, how is it applicable for us today? So that's going to teach us that each one of us have the freedom of choice. Brian, what is it? That if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there is many people in the past that break Shabbat. You agree with me? But then they become Baalei Tshuva. You know what is Baal Tshuva? He become religious. He changes his way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu come to tell us, I'm not here to punish. I'm here, I'm waiting for you to do tshuva. Everyone understand what is tshuva? Repentance. What does it mean? That lichora, in essence, if you take a person that's given the secret of the country to another country, what will be the punishment? Immediately, whatever is it. If it's 20 years in jail, 50 years in jail, whatever is it. Nachon? Immediately. There is no mercy, there is no compassion. Nachon? We saw what the American done to Jonathan Pollard. That was over and above. Nachon? Anyway. What's happening here? We have to understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lichora in essence should kill that person that breaks the Shabbat. Nachon? No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't punish him immediately. HaKadosh Baruch Hu have patience and waiting to each Jewish person to do tshuva. Because for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, each neshama, it's very important. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wait and have patience and have mercy and compassion on that person until he do tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't punish immediately. And that's what it leads us to the next thing. Many people that keep Shabbat find it like mein olam haba. People ask, you want to know what is olam haba? You want to know? Look how your Shabbat looking, that's how your olam haba gonna look. And Hazal tell us, Shabbat is mein olam haba, like olam haba. But you hear many people that tell you, listen, Shabbat is heavy on me. It's very heavy on me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us the Shabbos for what, Rabotai? To rest, to enjoy, nachon? To get all the prosperity, to learn, to be with the family. It's 1 day a week. To connect with the family and to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Some people say, listen, for me enjoyment is to watch the rugby game. Or to watch the soccer game. Whatever. So what's so bad if I watch TV? I'm just watching TV. I'm not doing nothing. I'm keeping Shabbat. I'm doing everything. Only thing I put and I watch TV. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to teach us something very important. We said that Mara didn't make sense. You remember? With the bitter water. What it means didn't make water? When the water was bitter, what did Moshe Rabbeinu done? He took a stick. With the stick he added up more water, and what's happened? The water become? Does that make sense? No. It should be worse. It should be more bitter. Nachon lichora, in essence. Come here, and he said also Shabbat. Shabbat to you doesn't make sense. Maybe you enjoy just to watch TV. Chaim Yankel gonna say, I'm enjoying to go do my shopping. I'm gonna go to shul. I'm gonna daven. I'm gonna make kiddush. But I'm gonna go just watch the game, or I'm just gonna do shopping. Come HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, It doesn't make sense. Why? Because we have 39 melachot. 39 melachot that you're not allowed to do in Shabbat. I don't know how you say it. 39 what? Prohibition, am I right?
Yeah, 39 types of labor, I suppose.
Sorry?
Types of labor.
Types of labor or types of work that we're not allowed to do in Shabbat. And each one of them teach us, we learn that from the Mishkan, that they're not allowed to do on Shabbat. Now for us to understand, why is it so difficult or is it so harsh to watch a TV on Shabbat? Or to switch on the light on Shabbat, or to switch off. What difference does it make? I'm going to go to shul, I'm going to daven, I'm going to make kiddush, everything. I just put the light. To understand that, I'm going to give an analogy for us to understand. A daughter phoned her mother, and she said to her, Mom, I have visitors, I want to make a cake for the visitors for dessert. And the mother given her the recipe with all the ingredient, everything that she need, and she write it all down, 100%, she have the recipe. And when it's come actually to do the cake, she look, I need flour, yes, I have flour. I need a little bit of salt, I have salt. I need sugar, oh, I don't have enough sugar. But I have syrup, they're both sweet, you know. I'll put the syrup instead of the sugar, and etc. When she finished to bake the cake, and the visitors that tasted the cake have a strange face, nicely to say it, they didn't enjoy it, can she complain to her mother? Can the daughter complain to her mother? No. Why? Because she didn't follow the recipe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu come and tell us, I've given you Shabbat. I know if you want to enjoy Shabbat, if you want to get the maximum benefit of Shabbat, follow my instruction. Follow my recipe. You don't follow it, how you can enjoy? So a person say, listen, I'm enjoying to go and do shopping. Where's the rest on Shabbat? Where's the time to bond with your family on Shabbat? Where is the time that you bond with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Yeah, but I enjoy it. Yes, you enjoy it. But also that daughter also enjoyed the syrup because she didn't have sugar. Is the taste going to be the same? No! That's what Hazal tell us. That if you want to enjoy Shabbat, if you want to feel what is Shabbat, there is a menu. What is the menu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us. There is 39 melachot, 39 jobs or works, whatever you want to call it, that you're not allowed to do on Shabbat. And if you keep all of them properly, I guarantee you, say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you'll have Olam Haba, that you will enjoy Olam Haba. So now we can understand a little bit on a tip. What does it mean Shabbat? Shabbat is a time that we get bonded with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's time that we give our neshama the time to recharge the battery. Why? But that you rest. You sit with your family. You sing together. You eat together. It's time that you're learning on Shabbat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that's the covenant that you and me have. In that case, all the prosperity going to come dafka on Shabbat. Dafka when it doesn't make sense that you shut off your business, you don't work on Shabbat. But all the world working on Shabbat. You not? Exactly. I'll show you that because you kept my covenant, the prosperity going to come to you. It doesn't make sense, yes, Shabbat doesn't make sense. Because since HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give us the Torah for sense. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us certain mitzvot that we don't understand. For example, mitzvot Shatnez. What is Shatnez? Everyone understand what is Shatnez? Shatnez is we're not allowed to mix linen and wool. Does it make sense? What difference does it make if I mix these two kinds of a material? Really, what does it make? No, there is no sense on it. But the Kabbalistic rabbi, the mystical rabbi explained to us what you're doing when you mix them together. When you mix the linen and the wool together, you're mixing the two different worlds. Hesed and dinim. And when you mix hesed, that's compassion, mercy, with judgment, there's a problem. So there's many mitzvot that the Torah tells us that doesn't make sense. Shabbat also sometimes doesn't make sense. That's why we received the Torah in Marah, where the water was better. Don't look at sense. Shabbat, it's above nature. Shabbat will give you the prosperity, the pleasure, the enjoyment that you need if you keep it properly. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should all merit to keep Shabbat properly, to enjoy Shabbat properly, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mera b'yamenu amen ken yeh ratzon.